Hey, True Believers, England Teen here with another batch of new comic book reviews. These are reviews of comics that should be on the shelf at the time of this review. I do know there's at least one that also has an issue number 2 at this point, so I usually try to do a Marvel, DC, and an independent, but I do believe we're a little bit independent heavy on this one, including an Aquaman review, because I think it's time to recheck that title. Alright, so without further ado, let's get this party started. Alright, and as I said, we're going to begin this with Aquaman number 61, which I do believe I mentioned somewhere before, because I do remember the scene where everybody's coming in and they're like, hey, COVID check. It's kind of funny. I understand this is a push. DC's got their characters doing it and everything, but it's kind of weird to see in Atlantis them do. It's not literally COVID in the comic, but you know where they're going with it, right? So anyway, this is they've rescued the baby. Aquaman, they're swimming as fast as they can to get to help Mera. She is supposed to be marrying Vulko. Everybody's coming in and making sure they're socially distancing and all that. So we got this whole thing going on. All the while, Mera's talking about how she can get out of this politically. What are the ramifications? At what point? I do believe she even has the religious leader, the mother, arrested. So things are going down here, and Aquaman surprisingly is a political book, of course. So I'm not 100% thrown by the fact that they throw in modern politics. It's just you could change it up just a little bit. So anyway, Mera shows up and she's like, hey, yeah, I'm not marrying Vulko. I'll wait until somebody worthy. And Norm says, that's me! Ha 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 ha! And of course, Mera wants nothing of it. So she's like, yeah, good, dude. I'm good. And this sparks the war. Of course, it's going to lead us in the next issue. I stopped reading Kelly Sue DeConnick's run because, in all honesty, I thought it was boring. I gave it a try. I love the character of Aquaman. So I was really interested in continuing, but she just could not hold my interest. And so I figured, okay, let's check on it. I'm glad to say Aquaman is doing fine now. Not every issue's a winner, but at least this one is entertaining enough. And it's got me wanting to know what happens in the next issue. So while I enjoy it, though, I don't think I can recommend it. It's a 3-star. It's one of those where I can say I like it, just not enough to recommend it. The Boys, Dear Becky, number 3. So there's this weird thing that's going on. I continue to tell everybody how much I'm not a fan of The Boys comic book, but I keep reading it. Why? Why do I do this to myself? Seriously. Everybody else that I know is telling me how great this comic book is, and I guess I keep picking it up because at some point in time, I'm going to read and I'm going to discover what you guys have discovered and find the genius of this book, I guess. So this issue, actually, I kind of enjoyed. And scenes like what we're seeing here is part of it. They stop and be human for a little bit. I get it. You're a bunch of badasses. Look, blood. That's the whole thing. There's this joke that George Carlin says. If the way people naturally died was when their time is up, their head just explodes. After a while, people would get used to it, even though they'd be covered in brain and all that kind of stuff. And that's what I say about The Boys. If you're vulgar and try to be shocking in every issue and you end up not being shocking, this actually was kind of shocking because you get to know all the characters. You get to know their personalities a little bit more. And I kind of like that. You got to give us a reason to care about the people so we could care about what's happening to the people. And that's what issue number 3 of Dear Becky is. This is the slowdown issue. If it was an X-Men, this would be the baseball issue, where they're all relaxing between the big fights and everything. So I kind of appreciated this. Now I'm ready for more carnage. Now I'm ready for more The Boys, basically. So as much as I didn't like the first 2 issues, or at least I just don't get the appeal of the first 2 issues, I can honestly say now, even though everybody is who they are, at least issue number 3 is worth it. Usagi Yojimbo Classics number 5. I gotta tell you, man, I dig this book so much. Okay, so if you're not familiar with Usagi Yojimbo, you're doing yourself a disservice. Stan Sakai, I believe, is really trying to give us a little bit of Japanese history, a little bit of Japanese culture. He always touches upon something. This here, we're getting the finale of the origin of Usagi Yojimbo. This is where, we see how his lord was killed, so he became a Ronin, and how his friend had betrayed him, and that's why, of course, we see him fighting his friend, and that which started off this story in the beginning. So we're getting that, and this tells the entire. This actually finishes. After this, we could go forth and have new Usagi Yojimbo. Well, that's classics, but you get what I'm saying. I just like it. The dialogue, the art. I know it's. I actually, before I ever read a comic, I kind of thought this was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles ripoff. Can you believe that? And when I read it, I was like so much more enamored with Usagi Yojimbo than I ever was with the Turtles. Not saying the Turtles is bad. It's just, damn, this book is so freaking good. If you could tell, I'm recommending this so much. Pick it up. You should get it from issue 1 if you can. But considering this not only ends a story, but kind of frees him up and tells its own story itself, this is worth it. Even though, like I said, this may be the end of the story, but it has of his origin. It has also a backup story, so it's worth picking up. And from here on in, you've got a starting point. Do yourself a favor. If you haven't read Usagi, check it out. I think you'll like it. Next up, we're going to talk about Wind #1. The number 2 is on the shelf as well at my comic shop. So I picked up Wind #1 to find out, okay, it's James Tynion. He's kicking all sorts of butt on Detective Comics. I'm enjoying it. Let's see what he has to offer when he's released. This is an independent comic book. This is his creation. This is his baby. Let's find out what it is. Okay, so this kid, he has these dreams, and he's changing into something horrible. Wakes up, we find out that it is one of these fantasy lands. It's not like Disney Fantasyland, but it's a fantasy world where certain creatures are being discriminated against and feared, and there's even a hunter that's hunting them all down. And I'm sorry, but I've seen it before. And unfortunately, this offers nothing new. Sorry, James. I'm a big fan of Tynion. I just think this one is derivative of about 1,000 other titles that have been. This story's been done better other places. And now, granted, if you've never read a book like this, then I think you'll get the same, and you'll get the enjoyment out of it. I think you'll like it. But if you've been around the block for a while, I've been reading comics for over 40 years. I've been there. I've done that. I've bought the t-shirt. There's nothing new under the sun here. Not to say it's bad. It's just, I know where this is going. So I'm out. Have a good time. I hope, I wish you well, Wind. I hope everybody who reads it loves it. I didn't mind it. It's just I was bored by it because I knew exactly, it followed every beat. And I figured, you know what? I like independent comic books, and there's more to explore, so there you go. Wind, to me, is middle of the road. All right, let's sum up, and as always, I have the covers from my favorite to my least favorite. Usagi Yojimbo, you should check this book out if you haven't done it already, and definitely issue number 6 could be a jump-on point. Dear Becky, the boys, oh my gosh, 2nd place this time. Is that because of the weakness of the week, or is it because this book was actually that good? You decide. How about Aquaman number 61? I'm glad to say that Kelly Sue DeConnick isn't ruining the character. There's good things happening. Not great, but at least good. And Wind, you're absolutely fine. You are the epitome of okay. This is absolutely fair to partly middling. But that's just my opinion. What is yours? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to click on one of the videos that are popping up around you and hit like, share, subscribe, ring the notification bell if you haven't done it already. If you do like the channel, consider helping it out by going over to Patreon or to Ko-Fi, links in the description below. Thank everybody who's already done that, and to everyone, all of the true believers, thank you very, very much for watching.